If you've ever tried to learn a new skill and ended up quitting halfway, you're not alone. I've been there for years. And after a long cycle of trying, failing, and trying again, I realized something simple but surprisingly destructive. Most of us cram too much, too early, and then wonder why nothing sticks. 1. Theory overload, the silent progress killer. Whenever we start learning something new, we tend to open everything at once. A few YouTube tutorials, a couple of blog posts, maybe a podcast about learning smarter. It feels productive. But what's actually happening is that you're dumping a pile of information onto a very tiny mental desk, what psychologists call working memory. Think of it as a small desk at the office. When it only holds a laptop and a notebook, it's great. But if you stack it with papers, coffee cups, headphones, snacks, suddenly even placing your hand becomes a challenge. Your mind works the same way. When you try to stuff 20 pieces of information in at once, you hit cognitive overload. And that's not just feeling tired. It's when your brain literally stops taking in new information. You're not really learning, you're just passing by ideas like a tourist walking past shop windows. They don't stay. It's like reading 3 articles about healthy eating, and then ordering the easiest dinner option anyway. Not because you don't know better, but because your mental bandwidth is gone. When you slow down and take in theory one small piece at a time, your brain finally has room to organize and connect things. And that's exactly when you notice the next important truth. You don't need more theory. You need real experience with the theory you already have. 2. Experience feedback. Adjust where real learning happens. One of the biggest misconceptions about learning is believing that reading, watching, and understanding equals learning. If that were true, watching a few cooking videos would make you a chef. The brain learns by doing, by trying, noticing what happened, reflecting on it, and trying again. It's the essence of the experiential cycle. Do, observe, think, retry. You say a sentence in English and realize it sounds a bit stiff. You try again, slow down a little, and suddenly it feels more natural. You write some code, hit an error, fix a small detail, run it again. You practice a guitar riff and hear it fall apart, then you adjust your fingers, and it gets slightly better. These tiny, not what I expected moments are the real data your brain uses to improve. If all you do is understand, you don't know where you're going wrong. If all you do is repeat, you're just reinforcing your mistakes. Only when you understand just enough to try, and try enough to see what's wrong, does real progress begin. And once you see the problem clearly, you face the next trap, trying to fix everything at once. 3. Fix less, fix right. The moment we notice something's off, our instinct is to fix everything, all at once. It's the mental equivalent of trying to clean your entire apartment in 10 minutes. But the brain doesn't work that way. In cognitive science, there's a natural limit called element interactivity, basically. How many things your mind can handle at the same time. And that number is smaller than you think. This is why beginners in Vancouver who pick up a guitar often struggle. They try to press chords correctly, stay on rhythm, switch hand positions smoothly, and sing at the same time. The result is rarely music. Not because they lack talent, but because they're asking their brain to manage 4 tasks when it's only designed to learn one effectively. When you focus on just one improvement at a time, like, today it'll only work on smoother chord changes, your brain finally has enough space to make real progress. And when every practice session has a clear focal point, you can actually see yourself improving, even if just a little. Those small improvements, repeated consistently, set the stage for the most important part of learning, when a skill becomes a habit. 4. Habit learning slowly, correctly, makes you fast for real. The peak of any skill is when you no longer need to think about doing it right, you just do it right. That's when it becomes a habit. You see this every day without noticing. Tying your shoes, driving onto a familiar highway, typing without looking at your fingers. You don't break each step down. Your brain has moved these skills into its automatic zone. Once a skill reaches that stage, it stops taking up space in your conscious mind. You use far less mental energy to perform it. That frees up mental bandwidth to take in new skills without getting overwhelmed. This is why the people who learn slowly and steadily at the beginning often accelerate the fastest later. Their foundation is strong. When the basics become effortless, they can stack new layers quickly. Meanwhile, the people who try to learn fast from day one, cramming theory, fixing 10 things at once, skipping real practice, burn out the quickest. Skills don't grow through rushing. They grow through deliberate repetition, through doing the right things often enough that your brain builds paths for them. Once that happens, once the hard stuff becomes second nature, other people will think you learn fast. But you'll know the truth. You learned fast because you learned right.